So good morning and welcome. My name is Reverend Dr. Ron Fox, and I welcome you to the Center for Spiritual Living Space Coast to our Sunday celebration. And as I do every Sunday, every Sunday, if there's anybody watching this that's never been to a Center for Spiritual Living, we believe there's one God, many paths to that God, and we're here to love, honor, and support you no matter what your divine path is. And the Center for Spiritual Living Space Coast is a safe haven for people of all beliefs and lifestyles. Whoever you are and wherever you find yourself on your journey of faith, you're welcome here. And this morning, to begin our service, Reverend Jenna Watkins is going to open us with a prayer, and then Ed Powers is going to do a reading for us.
Let us recognize that in this holy moment, we are a vessel of spirit. We are filled with the wholeness, with the love, with the heart, with the peace of spirit. We are vessels, a reflection of the One Most High, a reflection of that which is perfect, whole, and complete. And I recognize in this moment that each and every one of us, as a vessel of spirit, is one, is whole, is complete, and a vessel of peace. And as we come together today for this beautiful talk from Reverend Dr. Ron, we know that he, too, is a vessel of spirit whose heart hears the word of God and shares that love, that wisdom, that heart with each and every one of us. We are grateful for this moment of getting together, grateful for this moment of hearing Reverend Dr. Ron and his message that we know uplifts us and empowers us to be greater vessels for the One Most High. And for all of this, I give thanks, and so it is.
So it is.
Good morning. I wrote this a few weeks ago, and I call it Reason Enough. We marveled at sunsets, mountains, and stars, etc. And yet, at the supermarket, we push our carts past one another without much regard, even though we, you and me, are the most marvelous creations in the entire universe. No matter what we may achieve, it will never compare to the fact that we are even present, alive in our own hallowed illusions of space and time. We live 24/7 in the illusion that our minds and bodies create for us. So even if we reflect on our life and figure out or remember that we are spirit, we also believe we are human, living and dealing with those illusions of space and time and believed in limits. Happiness has only ever been a matter of focus and perception. Focusing on happiness and the things we want will create the illusion of happiness. So, remembering that we're spirit living in the heart and mind of God, remembering that our spirit is here for the fun and joy of who we are, for the joyride of our illusions, remembering that should inspire us to create the illusion of having a good time with spirit. This is the purpose of life. It's the reason we are here, just to live and create experiences and illusions. We can't get it wrong. It sucks to be a human suffering, and a lot more fun to create fun. But spirit wants it all. And now, Reverend Dr. Ron Fox.
Thank you, Ed. So good morning again. the title of the message this morning is, What Are You Reflecting? And I want to tell you how this message came about. One of my friends, I don't remember who, put this on Facebook. I want to read it to you, and then so here it is. Two dogs walk into the same room at separate times. One of the dogs walks out after a few minutes, wagging his tail. The other dog walks out growling. A woman goes into the room to see what could possibly make one dog so happy and the other so mad. To her surprise, she finds that the room is full of mirrors. The happy dog found 1,000 happy dogs looking back at him, while the angry dog saw angry dogs growling back at him. What you see in the world around you is a reflection of who you are. When I read that, I said to Becky, I think there's a talk in here, so we'll see. So I want to begin with a quote from Ernest Holmes, who founded the Centers for Spiritual Living. He wrote, "We will always attract to us in our lives and conditions according to our thought. Things are but outer manifestations of inner mental concepts." So I want to give you a couple of examples of what Ernest Holmes was talking about. I read a story this week about a sculptor in India who made absolutely gorgeous statues of elephants. He was famous all over Asia for the elephants that he sculpted. And so one day, one of the kings came to him and said, your work is so gorgeous. Will you share with me what your secret is? And this is what he told the king. He said, when people bring me a large slab of granite from the quarry, I study it for weeks. I look at every side of it, every angle of it, and I just spend time with it. And he said, slowly, very slowly, the outline comes to me of an elephant sleeping in the granite. And he said, and then I begin to work. And I work on it for weeks and weeks because I know it wants to be free. And what I do is I chisel everything away in the granite that's not elephant. And so at the end, what remains has to be an elephant. When you and I chip away what is not spirit within us, we're left with God expressing through us. And that's what Meister Eckhart meant when he said, the spiritual life is not a process of addition, but rather a process of subtraction. So let me give you just one more example that'll really make it clear. And it's a story about a couple of newlyweds who move into their new home. And the first morning they're having breakfast, and the woman turns to her husband and she says, look, our neighbor next door has her washout on the line, and she must not use a very good detergent because her wash is kind of gray. It's not as good as it could be. And this goes on several mornings. The wife looks, whenever the lady has her washout, the wife says to her husband, she needs to change her detergent. Well, one morning, a couple of weeks later, they're having breakfast. The wife looks out the window and she says, wow, she must have changed her detergent. Look at how bright and colorful they are, and the whites are so white. She must have changed the detergent. And the husband looks at her and smiles. He said, no, she didn't do anything. I got up early this morning and I washed our windows. Wendy Craig Purcell wrote a book titled Ask Yourself This. And in the book, she poses questions. And one of the questions she poses is, how do you view yourself? Do you focus on your light or do you focus on your shadow? And she goes on and says, we need to love and accept all of ourselves. And then she asks, and this is a question you're going to hear a lot this morning, who do I think I am? Who do I think I am? And she says we are all more complex and wonderful than we believe. And you know what we teach is that our internal power is waiting for us to release it. Our true identity doesn't come from what other people see or what other people say about us. It comes from within us. The late Wayne Dyer said that in growing up, we're taught beliefs on what we're capable of doing and what we're not capable of doing. And he said we learn these beliefs from others, beliefs about our religion, beliefs about education, beliefs about love, beliefs about who is our friends, who is our enemies. And he said all of this shapes our lives and who we're going to accept as our teachers and who we're going to accept as our friends. And so what that means is the person that we are today is the result of a lot of adults in our early life. And as thinking adults now, what we need to do is go back and say to ourselves, are the beliefs that people taught me years ago when I was a youngster, are they still true for me? Are they still relevant in my life? And if we feel that some of them aren't anymore and are holding us back from our spiritual path, we need to release them and bring on new beliefs, new ideas, new thoughts about who we are and the life we want to live. So Alan Cohen picks up from where Wayne Dyer left off, and he kind of makes the same point in a different way. He says, you know, we've been hypnotized all our life to believe that we're smaller than we really are. And he said, once we realize that, it really doesn't pay to go back and point fingers and blame, because the truth is that you and I have the ability to write our own story, and that our only real enemies are the thoughts and expectations that keep us small. We can make the choice, you and I, we can choose to liberate ourselves or to keep us imprisoned. That the choice is up to us. In the Gospel of Thomas, it is written, if you bring forth what is within you, it will save you. If you fail to bring forth, it will kill you. You and I, we die a little bit each day if the life we're living on the outside isn't really the life that we're here to live on the inside. You know, our life isn't about how it looks, it's about how it is inside. And so let me tell you another story to bring the point home. It's said, and again, I don't know if this is true or a fable, but it's said that there was a sage in India many years ago who, whenever anybody came to him with any issue, with any problem in their life, he would tell them, go home and meditate on this one question. And the question is, who am I? Who am I? He said, when you know who you are, You have the answers to any problem in life. And if you don't remember who you are, then all of life is a problem. No, I've said many times that the late Eric Butterworth, the late Unity minister, I think in our lifetime is the best New Thought teacher that I've ever read. And Eric Butterworth chimes in on this whole thing about who we are. And he says, he takes it from a little different viewpoint. He says that life asks us the question. Life asks us, who do you think you are? And he says, are you the small person that maybe you think you are? No, 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 you're not. You are, each of us is what we can be. We are the potential that resides within us. And every one of us has the ability to be a perfect, healthy, confident, radiant expression of God, a healthy, confident, radiant expression of God. And he says, when life asks you that question, say this: I am a spiritual being. I am whole and free. I am confident and capable. I am the master of my life. So I'm going to say it again. And as I do it, say it to yourself quietly. I am a spiritual being. I am whole and free. I am confident and capable. I am the master of my life. Donald Curtis was a religious science minister. And before his career as a minister, he was an actor. And he appeared, I bet all of us have seen him in the many movies or TV shows that he appeared in. And he tells the story of one night, he was in a play and it was opening night. And he was sitting in his dressing room and someone came and banged on his door and said, 5 minutes to go, Mr. Curtis. And Curtis was sitting there in terrible pain. And he always had pain before he had to do anything important. And no doctor could kind of figure it out. And finally, one doctor said to him, you know, Don, I think you'll just have to grow out of it. And Curtis realized when the doctor said that he was right. Because whenever he got this pain before something important, when he took his mind off the pain and on to whatever the activity was, the pain went away. And so what he knew was he didn't have to grow in any physical sense, but he needed to grow out of his attitudes of fear, of nervousness, of tension, and of pressure. And when he managed to do that, he was fine. The pain went away and it never came back. The Chinese philosopher Lao Tzu once wrote, "He who knows others is wise. He who knows himself is enlightened. He who overcomes others is strong, but he who overcomes himself is mightier still." So I want to give you an exercise, if you choose to do it, that'll bring this home to you. And it's a process called visioning. And Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, he came up with this process. And the point of it is to catch God's vision for a project we're working on, for an issue in our life, for something we want. We want to see how God would guide us through it. So it's catching God's vision. And I've taken his writing and I've tried to put it in the context of this mission, of this message. So here are the steps. The first step, and I'm going to go through each of them twice. The first step is to ask yourself the question, again, it's in the context of this message, what is my life's purpose? What is seeking to emerge in, through, and as my life? What is my life's purpose? What is seeking to emerge in, through, and as my life? The first step in visioning would be to either pray or meditate to open your heart space. And then once your heart space is open, we begin the process by asking questions. The first question we can ask ourselves, so this would be step 2, is what is the highest expression of a spiritual person devoted to being a beneficial presence on the planet? That's a mouthful, so I'll do it again. What is the highest expression of a spiritual person devoted to being a beneficial presence on the planet? And then we just sit in silence and wait. And we could get a message of words, we could hear something, we could feel it, whatever it is, we wait till we get the message. And frankly, sometimes we don't always get something. It takes some practice. The third step would be to ask the question, what qualities must I cultivate in order to manifest this vision? What qualities must I cultivate in order to manifest this vision? The fourth, and again, we listen. The fourth step would be to ask, what qualities must I release in order to manifest this vision? What qualities must I release in order to manifest this vision? The fifth step would be to ask the question, what qualities do I already possess that will serve this vision? What qualities do I possess that will manifest this vision? And lastly, step 6 would be to ask, is there anything else? And this is a process that we could do individually or in a group. And if you want, I'll be glad to send the questions out to anybody that would like them, and you could try it and see what happens in your life. I want to close with something from the book, The Hidden Beauty of Everyday Life by Kent Nurborn. And Kent Nurborn is one of my favorite writers. And what I want to read to you is what he wrote as the dedication to this book. He's saying, this is who I dedicate this book to. And when I read it, I think this is who I would dedicate these words to anybody that's listening to us today, to anybody that's a seeker. To those who find God in ordinary moments, who know that life has meaning beyond the simple acts that make up our ordinary days, who show kindness in the face of hurt, who seek the human in the eyes of those who have done them harm, who offer consolation rather than judgment, who offer help and hope rather than seeking their own advantage, who feel the presence of God in the trees and the grasses and a baby's helpless cry, in the loneliness of the elderly, the love of a young couple, the good work of the laborer, in the silence of the night, who are moved to tears by the kind and caring act or caring word, who stop to help the weak rather than seek the favor of the strong. To this I dedicate this morning. God bless you and have a wonderful week.